Hi, Sandra Crathern, Inner Vision, Health and Wellbeing tips for the week. Today, I'd like to focus on the facts about self-discipline. A lot of people say to me, Sandra, you're so self-disciplined. And if I'm really honest with you, I never used to be at all. I was most probably the most undisciplined child. I didn't get a lot of discipline, and I certainly wasn't able to discipline myself. So I spent quite a lot of my childhood feeling guilty, actually, for the things that I hadn't done. Feeling guilty that I had a toy cupboard that I never tidied up. Feeling guilty that my parents paid for piano lessons and I never practiced. Feeling guilty for so many different things. So I think my driver was guilt. I think that's what's turned me into a really self-disciplined person. But there are lots of reasons why people aren't very self-disciplined. I read an article just recently to say that actually it takes 2 months, not 21 days, to create healthy habits. So, you've got to keep repeating the thing for a couple of months if you want it to be something that's you take on board ongoing. Also, if you've got a lack of willpower, like I did when I was young, lack of motivation, I wasn't really encouraged to do. I was most probably encouraged to do my own thing a bit, really. So lack of willpower personally and lack of motivation externally as well as in myself. Lack of ambition. If people have got a weak state of health, they're less likely to be more self-disciplined. But the good news is it can be overcome. But it has to be taught small, tiny little steps that you need to take. So my suggestion would be to start writing down just a few tiny things that you'd really like to achieve, and then maybe popping it in the diary. That's something I do. For example, I always wanted to do yoga at least 3 times a week, and when I first started, I was doing it once a week. So it's just about building up small, tiny, healthy habits. To be able to motivate yourself. For me, my motivator is always how I feel at the end of it. I really didn't want to stay in the office this afternoon for 3 hours, but I know when I do that, how good that makes me feel when I've done it, when I've honoured it. Another thing I know a lot of people like to do is have like a buddy or somebody that they call and they say, look, I'm going to do that and that in the next couple of hours. That's really helpful. So you're accountable. Now, I've done that in the past, but now I'm accountable to myself. I feel like I've got a handle on it so much I can actually commit to myself and do it. Sometimes you say, oh, I'll do it for somebody else. If I said I'm going to meet them at that time, I do, but I wouldn't for myself. So that might be something you might want to consider, to say to your partner or a friend or a colleague or something, do you know what, by 3 o'clock I'm going to do that and that. And then it sort of helps you when you feel like you've got to speak to that person to see if you've actually done it. So it's a tough one, the old self-discipline, but it's so rewarding. I've set my mobile for 2 hours to do 2 hours work in the office. And that doesn't mean 2 hours and specific, there is a list, but it's not to get through that stuff. It's to do what I can for 2 hours. And what I don't get done, I don't get done. So I really hope that you feel you're able to step up your self-discipline. And of course, if you are in a weak state of health, the better we take care of our health and well-being and look after ourselves, the more, that's not quite English, is it? The easier it is to actually honour our commitments to ourselves and become more self-disciplined. So I hope that you are encouraged to really dig deep and say, you know what, yeah, I can motivate myself. I really want to do this. This is important to me. And that you get some things achieved that make you feel really well and remove the guilt.